Okay, good morning, and I'm going to try and stand still behind this mic because I have a habit of walking and talking all over the place. And start the clock. Sorry, having worked in television and making sure that you get your signal and your picture on time, that was my job. Timing and calculations, making sure everything's always running exactly on time, not even a second out. So if I said the news is going to be to you at 7 o'clock, it was going to be there at 7 o'clock. Maybe one or two frames. That was all I allowed myself. So I'm quickly going to run through the Friends of Johannesburg Cemetery. So I'm going to take you back to the city and what we do there. Just a bit of background, it was started in 2018 by a lady called Sarah Willem. And that was to take care of the graves in the historic cemeteries of Braamfontein and Brixton. She came up with the idea of starting a voluntary group so that those graves can be taken care of because the families aren't living in Joburg or not available because city parks and zoo, they only take care of the cemetery in general, not the graves themselves. And we do operate under the umbrella of the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation. So we have various activities. We have cleanup days where we will go and clean up the headstones and make it nice and readable. And we also have volunteers who actually do some beautifying and maintaining and planting flowers around the crematorium in Braamfontein. Then we also conduct tours and we do research. So ever so often we find a new person that we want to do some research on that we can add to our list of interesting and important people. Now, important people can be really important people that could be landlords or rand pioneers or just an ordinary interesting person. Like John Pearman that I found, he's buried in Brixton Cemetery. He had a license to deliver water between 1887 and 1897. Guess what? In Brixton, we still have water trucks up and down the streets 100 years later. So, and we do with our research, we will research anything we can find. Any archive, family research, cemetery records, so that we can verify all the information that we've got. One of the big projects that we were involved in was the restoration of the vandalized ash walls and niches in Braamfontein. 5,000 ash walls and niches were vandalized, smashed to smithereens. Volunteers went in, we had to record every single plaque, make sure they're in the right positions, and then cement them back into place. It took the best of 18 months and 3 builders working 5 days a week to get everything back into place. All those records were captured in Excel, and we have just uploaded all those records to the office computer at Braamfontein Cemetery. So if people come and they want to look up for their family, it's right there. Then we work with various communities, but this specific outing we had was we were told in Lynbro Park there's a piece of land that was earmarked as a possible cemetery site for the Muslims, but there might be graves on that site. We went and we hunted it down and, and I tried this morning. So in the top left-hand corner, that's what we faced, and below it, that's what we found after hacking out the bush. No, it's okay. So below we found 8 family members of the Brolin family who were buried there, and they are, Lynbro Park is named after the Brolin family. So they took Lynbro, Brolin. After we cleared that and found the graves, we found via social media that there might be more graves on the same piece of land. When digging through every plot of or clump of bush, and in a lantana bush, we saw 2 graves hacked our way in, saw another 2 graves. We eventually hacked out 8 graves belonging to the De Beer family. Now, those De Beers are the ones who actually owned the farm Moederfontein on which the dynamite factory was built. But those are just 2 of the projects that we've been working on in the past 2 years. And being the person I am, and being the person who's as curious as I am and wondering how things work and what I can do, I then started a new project for myself and for the friends and for Johannesburg Cemeteries called the Mapping Project. Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo came to us and said to us that they would like to install an information board that includes a huge big map at the entrance to Braamfontein Cemetery. And they sent me this map, which is found on the Heritage Register. As you can see, it's not very clear. We found there's a lot of spelling mistakes, and it's not actually accurate. I took the map because it had graying in it, and I put it through ChatGPT. I love AI. If you know, you can use it correctly or incorrectly. And I asked it to clean up the shading for me. And I then asked Sarah to please find me a map that's more accurate on the layout of Braamfontein, and she supplied me with this map. As you can see, it's not one that you can use, but I used the information on it, and then in Windows Paint, I created this map that shows exactly all the demarcations in Braamfontein Cemetery. There's a small little legend, because I couldn't fit everything on the map, so that Joburg City Parks and Zoo can have a clearer, more accurate map that will say to you, you are here, and now you can see where you want to go. This map, I've still got more work to do in Braamfontein, but now this is taking me on to my next project. This is Brixton Cemetery. So now I've got a nice schematic map for Braamfontein, and the Brixton Cemetery, this was a schematic map that I got from the office. And again, in paint, just ordinary Windows Paint, I cleaned it out so that you only have the different sections that you can work with. But then I got an idea, and it's dangerous when I get ideas. Can we digitize this? Can we create something digitally that you can actually use in an app, a web page, and how can we actually make it something that people can use wherever they are, whether they are here, in Vaal, Wakkerstroom, or Antarctica. And I went and I worked in, it's not Google Maps, it's my Google Map, or Google My Maps. And I just need to get the internet connection up. Okay, so while they get the link up, because it worked this morning when we tried it, is that I now go into a cemetery and I pin the graves. I did this in Lindbro Park to get the exact locations of the Brolin and the De Beers family. And okay, there we go. So I've started creating this map. And I actually went into the cemetery and I go to the grave and I stand in front of the grave. I take a photograph of the headstone and I take a GPS reading on my phone and then I email it to myself. I get home and then I enter that pin information into, okay, there we go. So I will then enter it into the map, and it will put the pin in at the exact location. With Call It, I actually found, because now I'm playing around, because I'm actually busy learning this as I go. I found that, okay, he's linked on what I call the Mayor's Mile, because that specific road in Brixton is where a lot of mayors, of the old mayors of Johannesburg, are buried. But if you, on the correlate, I tried and I saw, okay, I can add more than one photograph. So now I can add a photograph of the grave, the headstone, and a photograph of the person. And at another spot at Butler's, I found that I can actually also add either a bio, a short description of the person or what they fame and what they were famous for, or like I've got here, I've got a link to Wikipedia. So if that person has if there's information on Wikipedia about that person, I can then link it and you can click on the link and it will take you to the Wikipedia page. I still need to actually go into the coding of that link to say that it should just open in a separate tab and not take you away from this specific page. So all of this is still work in progress. So I come up with concepts. I always say I can create a little storyboard and explain to you the storyboard, and maybe there's facilities with a bigger database or more accessible, because I know with Google Drive there's limitations on how many pins you can add. But one of the things I found, you will see there are gray paths and there's brown paths. Now this is the nice thing about Johannesburg. Johannesburg is one of the most treed cities on a grassland biome. It is so treed that the canopy is so dense that Google Earth actually don't even recognize the pathways, the driveways underneath the canopy. So when I sit at home, I often work over 2 or 3 screens, and I've got this map open on the one screen and I've got Google Earth open on the other screen, and I physically draw those lines in as I zoom down and see where the roadways are. So the options, or what this can be used for, as I said, you can use it for doing your own research, because it will have different layers that you can switch on and off. You can go on your own virtual tour through the cemetery from wherever you are, be it at home, or as I said, if you sit in Antarctica, and you can have all these links to the information that you can read up on. Or you can actually incorporate the KMZ files into an app, so you can actually walk around with an app. So you physically go to the cemetery and you go, I want to go and see who's buried here and wherever. Whatever your interest might be, this information can be used in different facilities. But it doesn't have to stop at the Johannesburg cemeteries. This you can develop for any cemetery. It's a lot of time to take all the data and read all the data and then import all the data. And because it's never been done, I pin about 17 graves per hour currently. So, and I've got a record that I tick off. Okay, I've done section EC1A. I've done all of these people, move to the next section, move to the next section. And it's a case of when I have time, I quickly go off to a cemetery. Brixton Cemetery is literally within walking distance of my house, but for safety, I drive there. Not because the streets around is unsafe, it's in the cemetery it's unsafe, and we're working on the safety aspects of increasing the safety aspects of Brixton Cemetery. But it is a case of going around and just reading data and emailing myself all this data. So I've got a database at home with all this data, and then I can incorporate it into the maps. So that is my presentation on how I'm trying to map the past. Thank you.